Hello and welcome to yet another review that I'm trying to create despite the war in my country. Sorry for quite a long delay. Despite the war I also had a toothache, so I had to visit dentist few times, and when you have problems with teeth, you are not in the mood of talking much and creating reviews. But I am back, and hopefully reviews will be more or less regular, at least as long as I have something more to review. Of course, I'm out of supply for the new interesting stuff. Maybe I'll manage to get something, maybe I won't. We'll live, we'll see. But today I want to tell you about iBasso AMP8 MK2. Or simply speaking, their probably most popular amplifier, AMP8, recreated mainly for DX240. Of course, you can use it with DX300 and with the successor of DX300 that will be out, but main target player, of course, is 240. 240 was released with third revision of their AMP1 and adapting their most popular amplifier number 8 for this player, of course, was a matter of time. And what we've got here, we've got a really interesting addition that once again proves that iBasso's strength is creation of amplifiers. It's a compact discrete amplifier that delivers up to 6.4 volts RMS for the balanced output, or speaking in milliwatts, 980 milliwatts for 32 ohms load, almost 1 watt of power from the balanced output. And it also has single-ended out, so it figures they are low, about 300 milliwatts for 32 ohms load, but most probably everyone will use it with the balanced out to deliver more power. I was wondering when this player was first announced how spare amps will fit here, but non-surprisingly they fitting pretty well. Price is $220, typical for the iBasso stuff, for their spare amplifiers, and let's have a closer look. Traditionally package is simple, just remove this white paper sleeve, and inside we're getting warranty card, few extra screws, also amplifier itself, and a screwdriver, so you will be able to install it right now. Why is it stuck? Something sticky. Stick to the screwdriver, so let's open the anti-static bag. And why they put so many sticky tape? I don't want to get knife, so I will try to open it with fingers, but actually they have a really high quality sticky tape, and bag is damaged, but here it is. As you can see, it's just a naked PCB and bottom part of the player, so it's simple. You can convert your existing amplifiers with that conversion kit, but you can get a new one from the iBasso. You can see they used some pretty big capacitors, and they're not trying to hide something from the curious eyes, so you just can explore everything that they've put here. Let's see how easy it is to replace it. I'm not sure about hot swapping. I suspect that there won't be big issues if you swap the amplifier without powering player off, but I don't want to do this with my own player, and I don't recommend it to you because still risk is present and price you'll have to pay is pretty high. So I don't think that someone will swap amplifier cards so often that it will be an issue to power player off. So carefully removing the existing amplifier, installing new one and screwing back these tiny screws. So not really convenient, they are easy to lose, so it's better to swap the card when you are in some place that is well lit, and of course it's better not to do that on the go. Just easily turn screws few times and here it is, it's installed and ready to entertain you. One of the most interesting questions, of course, is battery lifetime. I performed a few measurements. With average load from the balanced output you'll get from 9 to 11 hours of work usually, depending on load, depending on screen usage or so. So in my opinion, for a compact player with plenty of power and discrete amplification, figures are pretty good. And let's talk about the sound. Just as an example, I will use IMR Dark Matter. I received not a few days before the war, and of course I will describe the sound briefly, comparing with AMP1 Mark III. But if you're familiar with iBasso line of amplifiers, if you heard the AMP8, you won't be surprised. AMP8 Mark II is really close in terms of signature and in terms of representation, in terms of changes with the regular AMP8, and also it's really close to what some seasoned audiophiles expect from the discrete amplification schema. With this amplification model you'll get slightly more weight and slightly more highlighted dynamics. Sound is bit more natural, bit more engaging, so AMP1 is more natural, more focused on the micro contrast, and AMP8 Mark II is more focused on the emotions, slightly more colored, but that coloration sounds natural, at least for me. So bass is deep, really technical, of course resolution is great, as well as impact, depth and so on, and it goes to maximum depth, shows perfect control and delivers enough of slam, impact and so on. It doesn't sound too dry or monitoring, but at the same time doesn't sound congested or bloated, giving you great sense of naturalness. And as an example, I will use Casey Abrams Cougartown. Great representation of double bass with all nuances highlighted, really palpable, really engaging sound signature. Mid frequencies, technical, natural, of course, with really big stage, perfect control, slightly boosted macro dynamics, and that is accompanied by a really good black background. So all that notes, all that fast sound transition sounds really embossed, really palpable, enjoyable. So good combination of black background and dynamics give you the sense of hyper realism. And at the same time it's slightly more forgiving comparing with AMP1. Still requires, of course, perfectly recorded material to sound better, but a bit less highlighting issues. And as an example, I've got Dire Straits, Money for Nothing. And fun fact, everyone knows that probably, but that part at the beginning about I want on my MTV is it's actually Sting's voice who participated in this track. And by the funniest thing that Sting's management company then required money for this track, as he was a cooperating artist for this track and he's receiving royalties for it. But he sang just one line, but it's fun thing. And the representation of this amplification model really fits great the sound of Dire Straits, giving it a bit more analog sounding that really fits this track and Dire Straits in general. And treble, it's almost untouched comparing with AMP1, also resolving with great extension and all the things that I said in Dick's 240 review, it's still present here. Nice resolution, good control, so all that things are present here. And just to show you some example, it's Miles Davis, Sanctuary, and a lot of percussions, overtones and things that goes to the treble area, and this player really nails it easily. So, speaking about the pairings, it's good with power sensitive earphones, background noise is really low. Just with super sensitive earphones you maybe will hear something, but it's really unlikely, to be honest. And of course balanced output is slightly more dynamic, but difference isn't huge. So if you don't need extra power that balanced output provides here, using 3.5mm out is totally legit here. And that's probably all I have to say about the AMP8. I like sound of AMP8 MK2 more compared to AMP1, but $200 you'll have to pay extra, of course, is pretty noticeable. But from another hand, you know, DX240 is a pretty unique player in terms of price, sound quality, features and size set, so spending extra $200 to boost its sound slightly more, for me it sounds okay. But of course I can't say that I think that everyone will need that. AMP1 is also really great, but AMP8 slightly better. Thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and of course have a nice day.